Alrighty, so just to change things up a bit, let's do a Warhammer video. So, what we have here for you uncultured, we have a smaller Titan. I can't remember the derivative of it, but a Titan that I painted. Now, I know what you might think. Oh, how do I paint all them small bits, man? Nah, man, I don't have the thing for that. Yeah, well, neither do I thought. But, surprisingly, it's really easy. Now, that started looking a little bit like this. It's basically, I just got somebody hardware primer and, well, I don't like how glossy it is. I usually just paint it black like this. But yeah, first thing you do is just paint it all in the same one color. Again, I usually use either a black or a metallic. I should have used metallic. But yeah, for this video, we're going to turn this into this. Wait, well, actually I fucked it up. We're going to turn this into this. There we go, that's better. Well, first off, we're going to have to get that little, the metallic colours on there, obviously. And that's pretty much going to go over all of it. As I said, I should have just done this with metallic. We are going to be using Citadel paints, in this particular case, the Grey Knight Steel. Don't forget to give it a good fucking shake, mate. It's, or for you ladies, it's probably a bit easier to shake it like that, Or, guys inclined that way, who am I to judge? Do is, I can get him open, just get a blob. Most people go like, oh, just get a little bit. No, I just get a big fuck off blob. Dip it in the water, so it's not too fucking thick. And a palette pad, in this case, the face of a notepad for me. Fucking get them all in there. Mix the water in there. Nope, no, stay. Alrighty, we've got got it on our brush here. Now I'm going to bring him a little closer so you can see. And we're doing this twice, and you'll see why. It's because I'm just going to go fucking... Just get him all over... Oh, fuck. I can change brushes. It's a bit fucking shit, that brush. Here we go. Moisten that brush back up. And yeah, just back it. Just get it all over there, and you'll see that some of that colour is still coming through. That's why we're doing it twice. Now, I know what you're thinking, fucking, oh, is that, maybe we should just blob the whole fucking thing on there. Trust me, that looks about as horrible as just this red paint on there. It looks like fucking shit. Yeah. And again, just going all around. And again, fucking, not just on the top, we are also going to get into all them, bring that up there. Got to get into all of that as well. That's why we're doing the metallic bits first as well. Fucking, basically just so, if we fuck up, we're not fucking up painting all this stuff on the inside and painting all the other stuff a different colour. So yeah, you paint the guts and the things closest inside first. I mean, the smart way to be paint it before you fucking glue it all together, but, fucking is what it is. Anyway, I'll just fucking get all the metallics down on the fucking both coats, and we'll skip ahead. Alrighty, now I left the guns because I decided I'm going to paint them slightly. I realised I'm just going to base them in that different bloody steel colour there. But yeah, as you can see, some of the red still comes through where you've painted up the thing, but that's alright. You just sort of missed a spot, as they say. But you just you let it dry, and then you go over it again and see if I can, and you'll also get like little bits like this that we missed. Fucking don't worry about them too much, because yeah, we'll get them on the second run. And yeah, you just sit in there and let him dry, and I don't know, have a wank, fucking watch something on YouTube. Both. Fucking, by the way, if you do want to watch something on YouTube that isn't, you know, just masturbation, check out the video coming up right about, where's my finger? Right about there. Go on, go on. Give it a push. Give it a push. Just a little wiggle, just a little wiggle. Oh yeah, you basically just sit in there and fucking let him dry for a bit. So yeah, obviously, do something a bit more light-hearted with some of these fucking videos. Yeah, I don't know. For those of you that don't really know what the hell's going on here, painting Warhammer miniatures, Warhammer 40,000. Give it a quick Google and then come back. You back? Yeah. So basically they're these, you know, ridiculously expensive, you know, giant ass like models or whatever. Now, these aren't all you can get. You can get like little fucking Jeeps and shit, paint it up, make it look all like weathered and shit. That's really fucking easy to do, believe it or not. And yeah, you just most of the ones I paint are kind of like that size. Come on, focus. Yeah, like that size. And you just, yeah, like they're a little bit expensive. It's like $50 for like 10 of these guys, but I don't know. I think it's worth it. I mean, yeah, you know, when you go to using them, it's also basically like chess, extra steps. And for me, it was I don't know, it's kind of a way to get away from some of the more addictive things in my past. As the joke goes, this stuff's basically liquid, you know, plastic meth or plastic crack. Because it's just as expensive and it really amounts to nothing. But in my mind, this actually amounts to something, you know, instead of just it's not just a fleeting high that makes me feel good in the moment. It's there afterwards. It's there to admire. It's there to use in games that are similar to chess or whatever with some of my mates or whatever. Now, if you're familiar with Warhammer, with all the rules that there are behind Warhammer 40,000, obviously with some of my friends, I'm just, you know, playing like a simplified sort of Beerhammer, if you will. But yeah, like, you know, I'm sitting here painting these things stoned. I mean drunk. Like, it's not that hard. Like, yeah, like, I would advise anybody, whether they're as bored as I am or not, to, you know, give them a try. It's a nice little hobby. Quite soothing. And yeah, these are the first coat on this Titan should be finished, so I'll get the second one on there and start doing some contrast paints. Alrighty, so we've blobbed a little bit more on my palette pad here, and no pad, but still. And yeah, just going over like that, and again, just getting rid of the red that's all popping through from our first coat. So basically just going for like really thin coats, because, well, again, like if you just blob it on there, you can really tell someone's just sort of farted on paint there. And as well, working with really thin coats with just even some of the highlighting and that, you'll see, like if I make mistakes, when I get to highlight all the little intricate stuff, it's called highlighting, you know. If I mess up there, it's just a really good way with, honestly, I'd actually recommend getting something big like this first off, just because when you do make mistakes like that, and what I'm talking about really comes into play, you just quickly smudge your finger over places, so it's not leaving a print, it's a smudge, but create some of that cool weathering stuff that was on the first one I showed you. Is just there, but you know, we'll get to that. At the moment, yeah, just going around all the bits that are painted with that silver and just going over it again, getting in the nooks and crannies, the little bits of red that I also missed if I can. And yeah, yeah, for those I think, like, you know, the reason I say something big like this as well is what I'm painting right now. If you wanted to use on like the tabletop, they're the most expensive individual items. Like, it's like for 2 of these guys, it's like $100 or something. But like 120 or whatever. But and for one of the really big, like, so he's like this guy to this, like one of those really big guys, it's like 180, 200. But at the same time, like, you only need 1 or 2 of those to really fucking like have a game with somebody, and that's like in the full competition sort of stuff, which I'm definitely not into. Like, yeah, honestly, the whole competitive thing just seems more like that's getting into like math sort of stuff. Like, a lot of people when they play this game, like, they're like full into the math of it all. Like, now, yeah, in the books and that, there's this whole thing for narrative play, which is like, narrative play is just like, you know, you're playing through a story or whatever, but it's still really, really numbers and math orientated, which is, you know, I get it. I know I'm playing a game with a tape measure and dice, but, you know, it's just, again, like, if I sync with I have these little things, I tell them we're playing Kill Team when I play it, right? It's just this sort of simplified, I take the original Kill Team rules and sort of mash them with the Warhammer rules and just simplify everything a little bit, right? And now, sure enough, like, there's less variety on, like, you know, your guardsmen are always, like, I was really mean and I dropped down some Space Marines and I actually said to them all, your guardsmen and your scions are not going to be enough to deal with these Space Marines. And because I was playing with 2 different people and we're all versing each other, and I put my Space Marines, started off in the middle, and the 30 guardsmen with some interesting additions to their rules. Like, I gave them all extra sort of stuff and extra things, like, you know, just sort of like a D&D style, giving them narrative, sort of like, you know, you guys have like a berserk rage, so when you can move further without calling an advance and things like that. Sort of made shit up on the fly for him to try and help him out, but still got fucking wrecked. But it's just like, there's still, you know, like, there's less variety and less, you know, Hail Mary kind of moments, but there's also less of that sitting there bickering over fucking, oh, but I use that stratagem, or fucking this, that, and the other, and keeping track of command points, or with the new kill team where you need all this extra fucking stuff. Like, I don't know if that's, you need it or whatever. I actually haven't played the new kill team yet. To be quite frank, I haven't had the money to sort of go and pick it up. The only reason I really would be for more trench coat wearing guardsmen, but, well, yeah, apparently you can buy them now on their own from the online store. But anyway, you know, the new kill team, apparently, you know, it's got all this extra stuff that comes with it. You need a fucking, you know, a measuring thing for like cover rules, whatever, and it's just like, I don't know, like, with like cover and stuff like that, we just simplified the fuck out of it, and it's just like, look, certain scenarios, certain shots, like, if you're elevated, it's always going to be an extra sort of to your cover. But like, if you also, you know, it's a difficult shot, like or whatever, like, there's things semi-obscuring, then it's just an extra +1 to the roll, you know what I mean? Like, simplify it, you know, none of this. But then again, like, understand why Warhammer, with all its different factions, has this, of course, like, kind of needs it with what's going on. And again, the nerds want to be able to do all their really crazy stuff, but do you really need so many different fucking rules and things like that for it to all happen? Like, armor and invulnerable saves, like, why, you know, why is an invulnerable save, like, not just this one thing that you declare once? Whether it be fucking the Tyranid hive mind fucking forces certain things to regrow in a fucking dead form, or fucking, you know, the Orc Wire energies fucking fuel some fucking epic fucking thing within the war boss or whatever, or with humans, the Emperor's divine intervention. Or in the case of the tower, you can always be funny and use the human-made fucking greater good chaos god. But you know what I mean? Like, just like why is it, it's certain units always have it as opposed to this one-off thing, and the armor save being I'm telling you now, like, most of the time when we have these little skirmishes, it usually comes down to, yeah, there's little saves and whatnot. Like, everything, that's what makes it fun, is whether they get that armor save based off of a thing, or, holy shit, I'd watch that wound go through, and it's a fucking, you know, it's a plasma weapon, so you know, and it's a guardsman he's shooting with it, so that guardsman's just absolutely dead. Like, it makes it a little bit more fun while you got a drink in your... Where's the Warhammer you can play with a beer in your hand without finishing fucking year 12 maths? Where's that Warhammer? Fucking make me that Warhammer. Fuck, like... Or I might actually have to write what we've been playing down. Maybe we should just do that. I don't know, I mean, you know. Oh, that's right, I'm meant to be painting things. So yeah, we've got the first coat down. The lighting is a bit fucking full on, but... So I'm going to actually turn that down a little bit. Where are we? Click, 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 click. There we go, much less full on. And that's basically just, yeah, so get it all down like that. Now with these guns, I'm actually going to paint them more like a, yeah, again, like that darker metal. So, where are we? Oh, bro, I bet he puts fucking lead belcher on it all. Well, yeah, no. Nah, mate. No fucking lead belcher today. We've got the Iron Warriors. Yes, also from Citadel Paints. Obviously, I'm going to leave, like, links in the description of some of the things I'm using here. This clearly isn't aimed at people that are already into this hobby. Good old, you know, masturbatory shake. Yeah, same as before. Just get a blob on your brush, dip him in some water and mix him on your palette pad. Come on, we all at least got to grade 8 with fucking art in high school, you know? Like, I mean, yeah, okay, it's a little bit more than finger painting in primary, but it's still fucking, you just dip it in fucking a little bit of, just a quick dip, just a dip, and you're good, you know, fucking... Anyway, and get all of that all over the fucking, get him all over it. Not gonna obviously, ooh, see, put too much water in there, dipped him in for too long. Fuck. That's easy. I just get a little bit more on my brush, mix it back in there, pat it off, get as much off my brush as possible, and then just go back over it. And yeah, see, that's what we want, you know, like that. So it's a little bit more, that red's still coming through, but now I'm going to leave the, not really too much worry about the magazines on this, because I'm going to paint them a different colour as well, and same with the skulls that are kind of on the guns and stuff. Yeah, apparently in the year 40,000, fucking humans love skull fucking iconography. Reminds me of that, fucking... Oh, I can't remember their fucking names. They did that fucking, are we the baddies? Fucking, are we the baddies? Well, our uniforms have skulls, and of course Americans will say we're the baddies. Yeah, but they don't get to design our bloody uniforms, now do they? Yeah, also messed up, and I should have actually not really painted the inner nook and crannies with that, but because I'm going to get it with this, but just trying not to paint rest of it in that black color, and get also under that arm, like just under in like that, so it's like big and fucking mean looking gun on him. Like, now for those that also know what I'm painting here, you might notice that these aren't the auto cannons that actually come with this particular model, so I never got around to painting these fuckers, and well, yeah, they sort of broke in transit when I had to move a few times. And when I first got them, I don't know if this is a thing or not, the guy in the Warhammer shop fucking here in Cairns said it was a thing, so... And apparently I could have sent them back, and they would have actually just fucking fixed them. They would have given me fucking new ones for free or whatever. Or they used to, or wouldn't have been able to anyway, but fucking, yeah, fucking the guns on them were a little bit warped. Like, I actually had to glue the guns on the other one back on. I'll pull that up in a second. But yeah, these are actually las cannons from my Imperial Guard heavy weapons squads. I just kind of jacked them onto the arms there. So it's like, I don't know, like, again, a lot of the games and stuff that I play, I don't really, not playing full-blown Warhammer, it's more of like a, just a, you know, again, like a Beerhammer sort of, like, Beerhammer sort of fucking, like, lazy, laid-back narrative, almost like D&D, like, while I'm playing with these guys, like, I'm always picking a team that's going to make it fun for them. I'm almost like a DM as opposed to a player. So when I win or lose or whatever, it's always because they've fought down to the last guy or something cool like that, and it's never just straight up fucking, yeah. If you look closely, so you see on that one, gun goes right to the center. It's a bit blurred now to focus. Maybe if I pull my face away, the camera will focus. But yeah, you can see how it's like centered to it roughly. If I turn and show you the other one, I actually had to glue him back on there. He's a little bit higher and a little bit down warped. And these also are they're from autocannon kits that I had the bits left over. When you buy like a heavy weapon team in the Guard, it's these 3 models and you can make them up as like mortars, rocket launchers, or fucking whatever. And I made mine up as a mortar and an autogun team. So I've got all these bits for things. So I put the missile launchers in my fucking squads and stuff of these 10 guys. So yeah, fucking, again, just waiting for that first coat to dry and we'll be good to go. Now all these red bits here that you can still see, I'm actually going to paint them in like a copper sort of colour. What's it called? Rune Lord Brass. It doesn't really look like brass, it looks more like a copper bronze sort of colour, but yeah, Rune Lord Brass. Open them up there and show the actual, yeah, it's like that. You're going to paint them in that sort of colour, and same with all these little cables. And you'll understand why I'm not going to make them that colour permanently, but I'm going to paint those cables in that colour, all these little ones here in that colour, these little piston things that stick out the back, and one of these, like, there's going to be little bits and bobs painted in this, but not everything painted in it is going to be it. Because, as you can see, what I've done here, it's all silver, that lighty, that bluish sort of silver. And if you look next here, with, you know, how do you get that? How do you get that? Well, again, if you look carefully on this, you can see all that silver is still there. It's all underneath. Once I finish getting the steel colour down on these guns and the copper onto the little bits and bobs, I'm going to pull out the greatest thing that Citadel ever did with their paints. Contrast. Like, I swear to fucking Christ, this is what it was meant for. It wasn't meant to paint up whole bloody miniatures or whatever. No, this stuff is literally meant for metallics. I swear, it's meant to, like this here, this is just the same kind of thing I'm doing here, all steel coloured, and I've gone over it with like a black grey, like a grey metallic. And then as well, like, before I even put the highlights down, I just went along with it with like a razor blade along those lines to tear it back up. And in here as well, all over the little, and then obviously stabbed and chipped in there to get that little hole looking bit on it. But yeah, like, and then we get to fucking, I don't know, like another example would be these chicks here. Like, that metallic sort of look to their armor comes literally from getting the contrast paints and just going, oh, let me fix that there. Come on, focus. Focus. But yeah, and just like, just getting it along and going fucking, so taking it and like, I mixed this with like a bit of a purpley sort of colour, the contrast paint with a little bit of like a pinky purpley colour, but just a little bit, also watered down, and then ran the contrast paints over it, and then yeah, like you get that almost maroon looking kind of armour. And also, you know, they're nuns with guns. Who doesn't like the idea of nun chicks with guns? And as well, like, the most realistic and still like feminine looking like battle armor I've ever seen in any, or costume I've ever seen in any kind of sci-fi or anime or anything, right? Like the only skin she's showing is on, you know, is on her face, you know what I mean? Like, but it's still distinctively feminine, like, That's how you take note, everybody. Take note from the Warhammer universe. Sisters of Battle, man. The Adeptus Sororitas. That is how you fucking... That's how you make women look cool in, like, space armor and whatnot, and actually, you know, make their... Have something there for young women in the sci-fi, whatever universe you're making. So, you know, take that on board. Also, maybe Lord of the Rings, the Amazon one, could take that on board with maybe giving a little bit of facial hair to the dwarven woman, because, you know, dwarves are meant to have beards regardless of gender in the Tolkien universe. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about Warhammers, aren't we? Yeah. So all the guns are dried up. Time to go over it with it just one more time. Because, yeah, like, when everything as well sits in, like, you might notice some of the little nooks and crannies will have a little bit of red in it. Well, a tiny bit left over, like, in the real gaps, but honestly, that'll just kind of, they're the little bits that'll kind of get filled up with our washes, like this. So, like, yeah, it's, like, something we'll get to that. We'll get to washes, fucking. Jeez, I feel like I'm, like, you know. Jeez, like... Some of the, you know, YouTube tutorial dudes, they make it seem so difficult, like it's some fucking science. And honestly, if some, and obviously this isn't going to be the greatest, they're not the greatest looking fucking things, like, you're not going to blow people out of the water with this sort of painting style, but it's enough to make it look cool enough that you can rock up to one of these bloody tabletop games or whatever with your fucking, some nerd mate, or... Believe it or not, some nerd chick, because, well, some of the chicks that get into Warhammer, believe it or not, are really, really tasty. Really tasty. But yeah, despite what Major Kill might have you believe. But yeah, fucking... Sexier chicks are always educated. I swear to God, that's probably half my problem, fucking... Half the women I've been with in my life have had a brain. No, I don't want women not to have a brain. I'm just saying it really sucks for me when they do. They're smart enough to avoid me. But yeah, I haven't got any more over that. And yeah, fucking, obviously as well, actually, it's still a little bit thin on some of the little bits here, and obviously I've forgotten about these because we're just going to do them in a different colour. But yeah. Now, I think it's time we start going over it with the contrast paints. Just while we're waiting for that bloody second coat on the guns to dry. If anybody does have any ideas, because with these little Beerhammer games, right, I've been thinking about getting some of the alien races that are in the Warhammer universe, because so far I've only got Imperial Guard, Scions, if you count them as a separate thing. I don't have enough Sisters of Battle yet, because to be honest, when I bought 10 of those, I kind of used them to get more female sort of heads and whatnot in my guardsman regiments. For those that think that's not some kind of political statement or anything, in the Warhammer universe, the Imperial Guard, like they're usually the conscripted or the recruited forces of millions of different worlds. And as well, like if an alien race attacks a world, kind of everybody that can hold a gun gets given one. Like the whole women and children thing doesn't really come to play because there's that many humans that exist throughout the galaxy that it's kind of the only reason children aren't given guns is because the guns are usually too heavy for them. But yeah, like, I mean, some planets will have that whole, you know, normal thing, but again, when it comes to drafting, it's like you can hold the gun, you can take it, because these, you know, Imperial Guard, they're going up against these bloody Space Marine, you know, Chaos corrupted Space Marines and demons and aliens that are way better than they could possibly ever be. So it's like, you know, actually, this is a Space Marine. This is also a Space Marine. Also, yeah, you might recognize that is the Noise Marine, but no, he's a loyalist of the Raven Guard, therefore he is the Degent Marine. Dun, 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 dun. And then, yeah, add to make the case in point. That is your Imperial Guardsman, or average 6-foot-high human being. And yeah, Space Marines aren't even the most boss-ass thing in this universe. Like an Eldar that's about the size of that human being can tear to pieces a Space Marine. And Space Marines aren't even the fucking biggest. Again, like, I don't have one here, but Custodes, they're meant to be that little bit bigger than a Space Marine. And then fucking the Primarchs, again, like the Gilliman model you can get, and he's not even the biggest fucking Primarch. He's like fucking that big. Like, if the Emperor had a model, he'd be this fucking big apparently, but also at the same time, according to the lore, would actually be fucking, well, picked up the wrong one. Would actually, oh, this one will do, would actually be this big. Like, it's fucking, it's all weird, man. Like, it's a really fucking weird universe they've got going, like. But anyway, yeah. So, like, that's like the, yeah. But anyway, so, well, I'm looking for ideas as to things that my Space Marines and my Imperial Guardsmen can stomp on the tabletop while we're playing these games drunk off our heads. Yeah, and they'll come up as I see them. Fucking BDSM Space Elves. Self-explanatory, I guess, but I mean, I feel like it's self-explanatory, but I feel, probably will have to explain that. Tau, or, communists in space, or fucking orcs. And yeah, if you need me to explain orcs in space with guns and axes and fucking shit, then honestly, yeah, no, like, I actually, no, I take that back. There is a little bit more to the orcs in Warhammer than what's in fantasy. But anyway, fucking, yeah, BDSM Space Elves. They're basically a bunch of, Space Elves, and they're the dark elves, in space. And they basically, to keep their souls from being torn from their body, rape, pillage, and party for an eternity with some of the most advanced, technology available to anybody, only being available to them. And they hide out in this, like, thing called the Webway, where no one can really touch them. We're talking about, like, aliens are that powerful, they can drag, like, 3 suns, like, steel suns, and just put them up there so they're, like, part of, like, the backdrop for your fucking palace. Oh, yeah, there's 3 suns. I acquired them a millennia ago. Yeah, so the second one there was fucking, what was it? Oh yeah, Tau, the space commies. They're basically these aliens that over a period of, a few thousand years evolved from fucking cow things to humanoids. And then over a period of 6,000 years, those humanoids went from inventing the wheel to full-blown interstellar travel and fighting aliens with ridiculous laser weaponry. Funnily enough, when they were barely inventing fire and the wheel and clubs and axes and things like that, these things called the ethereal caste, like, they came along and they're like, because everybody's like fighting and all tribal and shit, and they're about to, like, cave each other's heads in. And just before, so, the last guy's about to get his head caved in, this ethereal guy rocks on, like, hey man, maybe you shouldn't do that, eh? Maybe you should, like, make a road to go with that wheel, so you can, like, transit and, guy holding the club, he's like, oh, sounds like a pretty fucking good idea. And you need a hand there, mate? Yeah, that's pretty much the Tau. They're like, the greater good of everything is their whole shtick. And yeah, they don't use axes or anything cool like that, or hammers or swords or chainswords. Chainswords because, well, obviously that's not a normal fucking sword he's got back there. Yeah, no, just imagine that, this like 9-foot fucking dude with a sword and saying like, fuck that. But yeah, so yeah, BDSM Space Elves, fucking cow communists, and oh yeah, orcs. So basically orcs in the Warhammer universe are mushrooms. You heard that right, they are mushrooms, and they photosynthesize, so they don't have to eat. And they breed in millions, and they like and find enjoyment in doing one and only one thing, and that is fighting. They don't even like pillaging. They don't even like they don't rape, they don't pillage, they just like fighting. It's yeah, they're good fun, actually. Like, honestly, out of all of the things in, like, the Warhammer universe, the orcs are the most sensible. Like, I don't know, it sounds weird, but they are. Like, they just... They like doing one thing, even if they... It doesn't matter if they win or they lose. Like, if you kill a fucking 1,000 orcs in front of another 1,000 orcs, and you did it by, like, fighting them with, like, you know, chainsaws or guns or whatever, they're not sitting there in fear of their lives. They're like... They're literally that whole Viking thing of, like, except they know they're not going to Valhalla. They're like, yes, yes, fight! I fucking love orcs in the Warhammer universe. They're just... But I don't know about how to go about painting them, because I don't know if you can tell from some of these, but not really good at painting flesh. Like, no, that camera's just not going to focus in that close anyway. But I'm not really good at painting flesh, so I don't know. Giant mechs are, you know, alright, but it's kind of hard to explain, because in their thing, they're all like ritual, you know, it's like very hard to pilot one, whereas with my little head cannon for my regiment, they're just, you know, piloted by the craziest, drunkest person who's willing to hop on a giant mech that could potentially fry their brain and take them over. But these ones in the universe don't actually have someone inside them, I think. I think they're like drones for like the main Titans or whatever. But in mine, yeah, no, there's some young drunk yubbo in there piling them away, because why not? It's cool. Makes me feel like, you know, the Imperial Guard have got cool power armor instead of, like, you know, because of the tower, they've got their fucking battle suits. In fact, you know, why not give us something similar to the smaller fucking Titan classes as, like, a battle suit kind of thing, or, like, beef up the Sentinel a bit, like a new kind of Sentinel, you know? I know everybody's probably just, like, they're more obsessed with, like, oh, you know, getting this bad boy up onto the table, but I don't really, and yeah, don't fucking judge me on what I did to this Baneblade. It was my first ever fucking purchase of a Baneblade, and, well, I've already lost bits in transit. Like, I don't know where all of that went. I don't, fucking, yeah. Anyway, yeah, I know everybody wants to see Baneblades and that get awesome rules. I do too, because, you know, I'd like the next one of these that I buy to not just be a terrain piece like this will probably end up being, but yeah, like, where's the DACA, bro? Where's the fucking, it's the Imperial Guard, like, I don't know, man, like, when I picked them as my faction, it was because Dawn of War was some fucking cool shit. It was a good game. And Winter Assault, the intro cutscene thing that they had for the campaign for Winter Assault was just, I loved it. The trailer or whatever, but fucking, I don't know, man, like, I knew I was picking the underdogs, like, you know, you're gonna need lots of these little guys, most of them are probably gonna die, but so be it. Yeah, okay, but I kind of thought it would, like, you know, still be an intimidating thing having, you know, I really feel like in real life, 10 Space Marines landing on a fucking planet, right? Or 20 or 30 Space Marines landing on a planet, facing off against, like, 200 or 300 guardsmen. They're going to at least, not, obviously, they're Space Marines, they're not going to be shitting their pants or anything, but they're not going to be like, you know, we got this, we can just fucking whitewash them easily. That should be a challenge to them. Like, I know that Space Marines are meant to be able to deal with that. I'm not saying they shouldn't be able to. I'm saying they definitely should. But there should be ways that those 300 humans, like in any setting, you know, humans do surprising things or whatever, fucking have an ability to, you know, properly put out that fucking punishment. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I really feel like it's like there's some things that could make them really cool on the tabletop. Like, they could genuinely be that thing that gets more people like myself into Warhammer. Because they're out of all the factions with all the rules and stuff, they are the simplest. They have the least crazy stuff going on. They don't have any of the psychic, like, warp powers or shit like that going on. And the only thing that makes it complicated is when you're playing with morale. Because you're always going to have to sit there and work out which one of your guys are running like a pussy. Yeah. At the end of each round in this game, you have to work out which one of your guys is shitting bricks and running. But anyway, let's get back to this, shall we? But yeah, fucking, I went and painted the bronze stuff on all bar this side just so I could show you. Because something else I wanted to point out. See, I do this a lot, and honestly, it's not the worst. Like, so for this, I go onto a smaller brush, like a little brush, and fucking getting in on these little bits here. It's not too hard to keep away from the bloody main thing, and if a little bit of the paint spills over onto where you just painted, you can easily just go back over it with a tiny bit of that metal fucking paint. Yeah. And then, yeah, you might see like a tiniest bit of red still in the fucking, in the gaps and that, but again, that's not really to worry. Fucking, in those little gaps, right, there's just a couple of little bits that look pretty cool, like this little popped out thing and this little dome sort of thing that I'm going to paint, if you can see in there. Just paint him over there, and just, I don't mind letting the brush touch the little cables, because then that happens and it's all over the cable, and it's like, well, it'll come really in handy when we get the really little brush. Just touch them with the contrast paint, you'll see. Yeah, fucking along the guns here as well, the ammo fucking things for the guns. But yeah, fucking on normal videos, sort of note, aside from doing a couple of Warhammer videos and whatnot, and if any of you have any ideas for more Warhammer related shit or critiques of my terrible video making abilities, then just feel free to let me know in the comments. But yeah, fucking apart from Warhammer, on the normal rant style, so I'm just gonna turn that. Yeah, if you get one of these and you make them, don't glue the joints, because they sit in the way that if you just glue them into each other, they'll still move around. That'll be really cool. I just accidentally mixed in some of my fucking paint with the metal paint, the more metallic, silver metallic, fucking the Ironbreaker one, fucking the Iron Warriors one, sorry. Yeah, Ironbreaker is a paint, it's just a little bit more lighter. But yeah, fucking furthermore, yeah. But as far as, so, not going to be doing the third Summer House video just yet, because obviously those ones seem to be a bit better to sort of leave them for a month or two, because it takes a little bit for me to get information for those videos, just because, well, it's not like I can just walk. It's not, I was about to say, it's not like I can just walk in there, but I did just walk in there, so yeah. But at the same time, it's obviously not going to get away with walking in there again, because, well, yeah, one of the guys that was that I mentioned was the guy that has the fucking miso that is, you know, or ends up, you know, fucking shacking up with a bunch of different people all the time, and fucking she gets jealous at when he talks to other chicks and whatnot. Anyway, yeah, that guy fucking messaged me being a smart he in the comments was like, you know, I'll make another video being a smart ass and whatnot. I sent him a message like, oh, you know, all sarcastic, like, oh, fucking, do realize that it's like a pretty huge fucking fine. Now, at first I thought his response was also sarcastic of shit, but no, this guy's an intelligent dude. He would have googled the private messaged fucking security pieces of legislation that I mentioned, and he'll know I'm not full of shit. But yeah, as far as getting like reliable information, I've got to go, you know, I've got to speak to a few people, and a few people have to say the same thing before I can confidently turn around and say it to y'all, you know. It's not like we're in suable territory, because A, I've got nothing, B, not enough people watch the videos for it to be considered defamation, and C, I'm not the only one that holds these. Like, a lot of the stuff I'm talking about is on like Google reviews and shit like that, so I don't really have to worry about it. Just for some of the folks that were concerned, like, oh, maybe I should get a lawyer if I'm going to be doing things like this. No, not at that level, because no one gives a fuck anyway. But yeah, like, that's what we got now. All painted up and cool looking. Fucking, I am, before we get to the contrast, just going to go around to the little skulls and things like that. And if you're doing this yourself, you don't have to do exactly what I'm doing or painting like this. Obviously, your money, your hobby, you can do whatever the fuck you want. For me, I go and paint the skulls and that in like a gold colour, just because that's seems to be the theme in Warhammer, is gold for skulls. Some people might want to paint that silver, or you might want to paint these bits gold and paint those bits bronze, or whatever. Hell, you might even want to just leave the cables all metallic looking instead of what I'm going to do with them. But for this, yeah, so there's little skulls and like just things like that, bit around the mask and fucking these little, like all these little tiny points on the joints. I'm going to go and paint them like a gold or a brass colour. And yeah, so if you made it this far, it's part 1 of the Warhammer painting. And now we'll just finish off with a quick little, a jolly little rant, if you will. Now, I hold in my hand the greatest thing that Citadel paints ever fucking did. Probably not, but this stuff is fucking awesome. Like, contrast paints are the tits. That's the way to describe them. They are the tits. But anyway, what I'm about to do with them, I actually swear to Christ, I actually think is the intended purpose of these paints. Like, okay, so they say that these paints are more aimed at, you know, like, you take a whole miniature, like this, for example, you paint the whole thing, you know, like a dark or a light colour, and then you put opposite contrast paints over it in parts. And eventually you get a full body, you know, it's like meant to be an easier way of painting. That's why Games Workshop says it's for, but I don't know, I just swear something went wrong there. Like, something along the lines changed, you know, and then they decided that would be what they'd push forward, because honestly, it works too well for what we're about to do here. So, with this stuff, there's no, you don't dip it in water or anything. Like, bring it close to the camera there, you can see it's very translucent, very, like, it's not entirely just like a straight up red. And if I put some on my finger just here, you can still see the flesh color of my skin underneath that red. It's almost like blood. But to be quite frank, if you want blood effects, that's what this is for. Blood for the blood god. Anyway, so yeah, there's just a little bit. Well, you know me, everything in excess. There's no such thing as a little bit. Get a big fucking blob, put it on the palette pad, ready to go. And yeah, we are still going to do this in a couple of coats, but just going to go along again. See just here, if I go along with the metal there. That's kind of how it sits on there. Now I'm just going to go along, and I'm obviously going to try and avoid some of these little trim bits on the metal that I'm actually not going to paint in any kind of specific colour. He says, just as he spills some on that trim. But yeah, kind of just going to go along with it. Not really caring about mistakes, because again, like, I'm actually going to go over again that metal trim with the highlights and stuff, so it's not too much to worry. And as well, we're going to be using some black contrast, or grey, but it comes out as black. We're going to be using some of them later as well. For now, let's get the first coat of this all down on all these faces. And this stuff is obviously, you're going to see a lot more of the metal come through than when we were using the metallic paints there over the red, where you saw in the like little bits of the red come through. But at the same time, it'll be like the opposite, where it's like, yeah, you'll see. It goes on, it looks really thick when you put it on, but like it just sort of like dries and thins itself out. Now these little shoulder pads and that, if you ever have trouble actually getting your brush in there, for me the brush I'm using is not the smallest and it's not the best quality, like it's like it's a shitty Japanese shop bloody brush, but you know, even the Citadel brushes at this size, like you'll have the problem sometimes where, you know, you can't get the paint to go exactly where you want it, but you kind of just let it fall into those crevices and gaps in there. And you will get little mistakes like I've made there, but again, we're just gonna, something I sometimes do is just really quickly before it dries. Just don't push, just always drag, because otherwise you'll end up with your fucking print in there, and well, I don't know, with how much these things cost, that actually might not be the worst thing. If someone ever, like, you know, were to steal your Warhammers, you'd be like, nah mate, my fingerprint is in that, fuck you. But to be quite frank, this isn't, if you're painting these things, like, some hood rat's not going to steal it and try and sell it, and because they don't even really know what they're worth, and probably fucking, you know, like, they're just not going to be trying to steal these. And if they are, they're not going to try and resell them or anything. But yeah, basically it just fucking, which is funny, because it's like, but yeah, you know, the community is pretty nice like that. You never have some cunt try and steal your miniature or anything. You have a lot of people admiring what you do, or critiquing, or supporting, but never stealing. And as well, like, if you see someone else do something, and it wasn't on some YouTube bloody video, don't feel bad about going and using that as a thing. They're not going to sit there and say, you stole my technique or anything like that, unless you were to, you know, sit there and make it your technique. Where it's like this, for example, I actually got told this by a dude named Will that used to manage the bloody Warhammer shop. I was just like, how do I get, like, you know, different coloured metallics? I'm having a bit of trouble, and I can't find the certain coloured, like blue or black coloured metallics, or fucking red was the actual conversation we were having, and it was just like, maybe try contrast paints. I've seen a few dudes doing videos on them, you know, they use a bit of them for their thing. I'm like, alright, I'll give that a shot. I did, and now I'm convinced that this just has to be what Games Workshop intended, because it works too perfectly for it. It really does. Anyway, anyone see that bloody Valrak video? Fucking where he's talking about the Custodes Codex, the Subject 11. So yeah, Games Workshop just flat out confirmed what I'd been fucking saying for ages about their own little story. That one of the lost Primarchs, the ones, you know, redacted from history or whatever, isn't dead. They're specifically, intentionally redacted from history. And yeah, basically the Chapter Master Valrak, one of the bigger Warhammer YouTubers, sort of, sorry, context. Emperor of Mankind makes a bunch of kids, and each one of those kids is like a different variety of, like, autistically superpowered, you know, demigod. Two of those, one of them was like, you know, had to be put down by the, you know, the Emperor and other Primarchs, because whatever reason, you don't even know his name, he's just the 2nd Legion's Primarch, and the 11th Legion's Primarch. So, yeah, and that one was lost or forgotten or whatever. No, they're all very, like, weird with it. It's like, it's kind of, it's almost like it's like a way to have your own sort of Primarch in the lore without it being official or canon, but yeah, no, now I'm going to do something a little bit different with this one. I'm just painting the front little panel, painting that red this time, whereas on the other one I actually painted it black. Painting this one red because, well, this one's obviously got the giant ass las guns instead of fucking auto cannons, so I figured, well, we may as well go with that, eh? And yeah, so just got that contrast paint all over it. Now the first time I did this, I didn't get such an even coat. It was a bit all over the shop. But with here, as you can see with the top part, some of it's already dried, and I can just see where there's a little bit more metal than the rest shining through. So with a little bit less, with that just excess that's kind of left on my brush, not re-dipping or whatever, just the excess that's on my palette pad and my brush, just going back over it as after it's dried. Because honestly, this stuff dries really quickly. It dries just like some of the normal paints. Whereas some of the metallics or the washes tend to take like an extra. Yeah, like honestly, yeah, like a lot of these paints don't take too long to dry. You're not going to be sitting there for like a couple of hours drying. If you have got paints that are taken that long to dry, honestly, it's probably because you blobbed way too much on, and there's parts that are underneath that haven't dried. But yeah, no, you'll never have like the surface paint being, you know, taking more than 10-15 minutes to properly go through and dry. That's different when you're getting into washes. Like washes are very different. They tend to dry up really fucking slowly. Sometimes it takes about an hour, half an hour to an hour, depending. So if I'm painting my guardsman, then I put what's called Agriax Earthshade. It's like the brown sort of wash. It's where is it? No, it's still in the flesh. Yeah, this stuff. Now if I open that lid up, you see a wash isn't like a paint, it's more like a wash. Like it's like you put it over it. It's what kind of gives off that dirty, sort of rough, like earthy kind of in the clothing look after the fact. Yeah, you put some of that stuff down and sometimes, yeah, that will take fucking a million years to dry. And like if I'm painting my guardsman, I'm using quite a fuck ton, like probably more than what's needed, but that's just me. I'm a weird cunt. Also, not the only YouTuber doing Warhammers that'll profusely say the word cunt. But actually, come to think about it, has anybody noticed that Major Kill's gotten really, really tame a lot lately? It's like, you know, he's got his, you know, fancy little YouTube play button and all this success in the fucking Warhammer community, and he's kind of just, I don't know, like, he's not as fucking, you know, Major Kill anymore. He's more like Major Buzzkill. I don't know, maybe he got a girlfriend and had to tame himself or whatever. But yeah, so just going around getting them all like that. And the next thing we're gonna do is the same thing but with fucking the black contrast paints and just little bits like across here above his like head and fucking, yeah, like see how I've painted some of these in the these little copper bits and that. Some of those copper bits we're going to paint in a grey. But before we finish, I'm going to swap out this brush because nah, actually I'll keep using this brush. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to take more contrast paint and dip him in there and dip. Get him on the palette pad. Got to get a better camera set up. Oh, too bad I'm poor. Poor while painting Warhammers. The fucking irony. So these little cables and that I've painted also in that copper colour. I'm just going to get a good coat of get a good coat of that coming up. So it doesn't look like it. So it's doing this for a different reason. Like we did the contrast paint over the blue here to get that metallic red look. But with these, we're actually going for that kind of, if I pull up the other one, you know, it's meant to look a little bit different. It's meant to look more like electrical cables. So it's still semi-metallic, but more like there's like a tube around it of some kind. And that's all, yeah, that's why I went around and painted all the bloody things like that. And if you also remember from that first thing, I'm going to get a little brush and actually paint in some of the little copper cabling that I did Alrighty, so I got my favourite little brush here. This little fucker. This is actually the Army Painter, the hobby highlighting brush. I don't know, I remember fucking seeing somewhere on the internet that apparently they were going to be changing their fucking lineup of brushes or something or whatever, or maybe I heard that before I bought their brushes and this is actually the renamed one, but I don't know, it's just it's a little brush. It goes fucking, there's no real size comparison for the Citadel fucking Games Workshop brushes. Like, they're either thicker or smaller. But yeah, so with this one, I'm just using this to get into some of the smaller bits. So I'm also still using the red contrast. Just going along his, just along that top part of his helmet like that helmet plate. And get that in the red as well. Let's get it all on there. And as well, if you remember, I don't know if I actually showed this, but if you look on the side of his helmet, there's some of those tubes that run into his mouth, a bit like that. And I'm just painting the red bit over that as well, just like I did with the other tubing sort of stuff. I don't know, it makes it look a little bit less steampunk to me. I don't know if like the actual lore actually has it as like it's meant to be this metal thing, but I think it looks better having more like tubing and wiring. Like, it looks a little less steampunk and a little more, alright, let's try and actually make a mech. And yeah, if you also remember inside those little, which one? If you look in there, there's some like little wiring and that as well. I'm just gonna get it in there and do the same thing. And this is the only time you really got to kind of like keep your hand steady in that and just sort of drip it on there almost. And it's honestly not the end of the world when you get things inside the guts here that aren't perfect, because honestly these are really the parts no one's gonna fucking see. So, and honestly, if you do come across somebody that is gonna rip on you for your painting of Warhammers, rest easy in knowing that you're joining a community of people that laugh at those kinds of people. Like, so when I first started doing this, man, like my guardsmen look fucking, I'll pull up some of my earlier shames. They're hilariously bad. Like, you can see the bits where I just didn't know things. Yeah, you can see where I just didn't know things. In fact, give me a second. Where's one of them OGs? Yeah, fucking. That looks like an example. Alrighty. But yeah, so putting that mech down for a second. If you look at this guy, like, it's very hard for me to really show it on the camera, but like, it's pretty basic, but like when brought closer to the camera you really see how the paint's just kind of blobbed on there and it messes into things. Whereas then you get as well, like, this is the first time I really started to, like, again, another example of like early on his face is all just kind of yeah, like, then nothing looks too great, you know what I mean? Like, or this is also why I say I really suck at doing flesh, because it's like, it's one of those things I still haven't gotten. This is one of the first mortars I did. And as well, this is also why predominantly most of my dudes are white. It's not just because I'm white, it's because the only paint, like skin color, flesh tones and that I can seem to get right is, you know, like the really pale kind of flesh tones. Getting, like, yeah. I'm not saying this for any, like, racial thing either. Like, painting, like, it's really difficult to paint darker skin tones for me. Like, I don't know if other people have the same problem. Hell, I don't even, like, I've been sent like a couple of ways that you can apparently do it really well, but every time I tried it, it's come out like that, you know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't look great. That's why mechs are kind of good. I don't have to worry about it. But yeah, if we look around now, you can see all the little rods and wires and stuff have properly dried. And the actual sort of like red sort of undercoating we did is sort of dried as well. And this is where we get proper fucking backyard hobbyist. Because, oh yeah, wearing a Lang Gang shirt, fucking Friendly Geordies, where are your fucking Warhammer videos that you promised us, you cunt? Come on. No one wants to hear about the fucking election. No one wants to hear about fucking how dodgy Scott Morrison or fucking, you know, Peter Dutton or an inch. No one gives a fuck about your liberties being... No, they want you to make fucking Warhammer videos, cunt, so go and do it. Fucking, anyway. So basically, I'm just getting a knife. Like, nothing fucking fancy. I did it with a razor blade at first, but a knife is good enough now. I'm just going along the corner bits where I actually painted the fucking contrast over that doesn't have their own kind of bit. I'm just scraping, not hard scraping, because the paint's only just gone on and dried. So it comes off pretty easily, and if you scrape it too hard, you obviously go straight to the plastic. But yeah, just scraping it along like this. Just to get that little bit of a... Yeah, it's a little bit of a... sort of, not a... because, yeah, you do it with a highlight brush and you get a perfect line. I found doing these sorts of things first and then doing your highlights. Your highlights... Because when you do your highlights, right, and you do a perfect line, you've got to do it all a perfect line, you know what I mean? Which is very, very hard for, say... a novice like myself, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not an expert fucking Warhammer painter. No Duncan Rhodes. Although, I was tripping balls in an ER once, and fucking the doctor, while he was giving me Valium and shit, was just explaining in the perfect English accent, sounding like he was Duncan Rhodes. Like, just take a little bit of Valium and it'll take the edge off. Like, it's like, am I getting like a Duncan Rhodes painting tutorial in doing drugs? Like, what the from an actual paid medical professional? This is weird. But anyway, so yeah, just running along, even these little lines and grooves where the paint fell in. That's why I said don't fucking worry about it, because this is what we're doing. Now, if you use a pin or a knife or a fucking razor blade, it's up to you. I'm just using this little handy thing that my mate gave me. It's just a little fucking... Now, I know what you're thinking. No, this isn't actually illegal. That's just broken off. And it doesn't actually support. You can't... Yeah, it's not actually... And it's too small to be considered a weapon. And I never take it out in public. And, well, to be quite frank, no one's... It can't be used in that kind of fashion. So before you think it's some kind of illegal implement, no, this is just a broken knife. And yeah, just keep running along those little cracks and just scratching a bit to give it that, and as well, because that way when you go and do those highlights, right, and you do this perfect line, it's still not going to be perfect because you've done these scratches and that. So when you do fuck up, or you do like a sort of novice straight line, it doesn't look too fucking bad. It looks more like, you know, looks like weathering, you know, like it looks like the fucking thing you're painting has been through a little bit. Now this here, I actually haven't seen this in any videos, but, or like had this said to me. This is something I started doing, but it wouldn't surprise me if this was something that some folks had done before. Like, this just seems like too easy of a way to get like weathering effects on a miniature. But then again, you know, these things are fucking expensive, so it wouldn't surprise me if people actually didn't want to do that to their miniatures. But now, with these fucking little soft sort of corner like angles that are on this, I am also going along with this with the scratching and just doing that to it. Just going all along. And sort of, even those little bolt bits, I'm trying to get over them and sort of scratch a bit off them so I can see them better when I'm trying to paint them. Because, yeah, like, some of it is a bit finicky. Now, see these little vents as well? If you might notice on here, I haven't got that on there. When I was doing that originally, I intended on having these vents coloured in that same colour, but when I was scratching along like this, I got to it before the paint hadn't entirely dried, and I'd peeled like a bunch off it. And so I just went and scraped the rest of it off anyway. And so I'm just going to go ahead and do the same thing. I'm just going to scratch all of that red paint that I just put on those vents at the top off, and expose just the expose just the silver underneath for the vents. And while this time leaving some of that red on there, because this is dried properly, and it's actually kind of doing what I originally wanted it to look like that. You know, it's still got the red on it, but it's kind of worn a little bit, you know, like, because as well, like, after I wash and scratch and things on, I'm actually going to do a bit more of this little scratch work after the fact to get that proper fucking, oh my god, this thing has been through hell kind of vibe to it. Because what's the point in painting a fucking vehicle that's in the fucking grim, dark, fucking far-flung future if you're not going to have it weathered that like it's been through the grim, dark, far fucking future? You know, like, it'd be like painting the Mona Lisa and giving her eyebrows. You know? That's how I feel like with a lot of fucking things, right? With a lot of things in Warhammer, it's like you may as well give the Mona Lisa eyebrows. That's what you're doing. I really don't get it. It's like these things are meant to be grimdark and gone through some shit, but everybody wants them to be absolutely perfect when they fucking paint them, and I just... Although, on the topic of perfect though, I did actually see a fucking miniature that we painted it literally half down the middle black, half down the middle white. I think it was meant to be the Sons of Malice or something else. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, that was so perfectly done that it was like, yeah, they look great. They're too perfect for me. Like, I can definitely appreciate the work, especially considering I think the dude who painted those and had them being shown off in the store was actually someone I went to high school with, or more specifically, my brother went to high school with. And I was just kind of there. Like I am in most people's life, I guess. I'm just kind of there. Bloody hell, is this a Warhammer video or a fucking psychological fucking, like a self-help thing? I don't know, it could be both. I mean, I did do a whole ramble before about how this helped me get out of my fucking drug habits, but preceded by, you know, also, within about 5 minutes, also stating that he was stoned off his brains while doing it, but... There's a difference between, you know, being stoned off your brains and methed out of your brains to the point where you're beating people up for no reason. You know, the little things in life, you know. Yeah, don't do drugs, kids, and brush your teeth. And yes, that's what we got there, just as well, along those little lines above the sort of symbolisms and sort of rims of it, just scratching in there. And now we're gonna go throw it in the bin. So now I'm just, again with the fucking razor blade, just gonna just do lots of little things like this around. Just intentionally kind of mess him up a bit. Now you don't want to do it like in the same sort of line the whole way through, otherwise it's too obvious that you've gone and scratch things. You want there to be a fair bit of randomness to it. No, yeah, fucking... And you might notice I'm actually going to ignore this thing here while I'm scratching, but that's because I'm going to be putting another contrast paint over the top of that and then scratching it again, so you get like a red and a fucking silver sort of scratch through. Like I want that to be the really rusted, shitty part looking of it. Something else I have seen though, this is something I have seen when people do this with vehicles. They don't use a knife, they use steel wool. But they also they spray something like the hairspray or something underneath it to protect the plastic. But, you know, honestly, to me this isn't like a bunch of money spent on something. There's a bunch of money spent on me to be able to sit around and fuck with something. Hence why, like, yeah, like, what is it? Fucking, there's these guys called Gaunt's Ghosts, right? I don't hate the Gaunt's Ghost series. I just not a big fan. So when I got the models, I wasn't the same as everybody else when they first came out. Of like, oh fucking, I can't wait to paint up Gaunt's Ghosts. Like me, I was just like, those are some pretty cool miniatures. I wonder if I can kit bash them. Like, I swear to God, like even if these things didn't break in transit, chances are I probably would have like ripped the guns off them and put new ones on or something. Anyway, you know, like I just have this weird thing of wanting to. I don't know, wanting to kit bash, wanting to make things different. Like, all the guardsmen regiments that could be sold don't look the way I want them to look. So if I can change them around and shit, you know, like I bought the, you know, some of the Necromunda models or fucking third party bodies or legs and things and put the arms and excess that I've got on there. Like, this was the first ever vehicle that I ever painted. Like, and only recently as well. Like the turret does move around and shit. And for those of you that are sitting there thinking, oh, you'd probably never use that on the tabletop. Come out. No, I have every intention of using this on the tabletop. I even made some of the fucking guns removable, okay? And yes, I am painting up the other fucking turret. But yeah, like, this, the reason I say this has been like kit bash now, some people might be like, oh, that looks just like the one on the box. How was that kit bashed? I'm just going to hold it here for 1 second. You see it? Because it should be staring you in the face. Actual Tauroxes have got these fuckers on the front. And where did I put them? I don't know. And they got like tank looking trucks on the back. They don't have axles either. Went and gave him some axleage and fucking put the wheels on. You can pick the wheels up as well from fucking third party Victoria Miniatures. Apparently they're called Victoria Miniatures because they're actually from Victoria. But I get stuff sent to me from the US, which confuses the fuck out of me. But anyway, yeah, they raised a bunch of money just selling miniatures and shit during the bushfires and that. Like they put more money into the bushfires, I think, than fucking some, like, charity organizations, actually. And they did it all through selling miniatures and saying, hey, you get this free miniature and fucking, if you spend this amount of money. And yeah, a bunch of that got fucking thrown into bushfires and shit. So even if they aren't Aussie, or if they got bought out or whatever, and then fucking did that, yeah, they're honorary Australians. They had our backs. So even moral of the story, even if they are Americans, they're all right because, you know, they didn't Harold Holt us. Far out, man. It's almost lucky I don't have like an audience or whatever, because like a real one, because some of the shit I say would probably get me into trouble. It's probably why I'll never actually have an audience. It'll probably just be the same fucking 10 or 15 cunts watching me doing random bullshit because they feel sorry for me or some shit, but yeah, I digress. Ooh. Okay, so lesson time. If you see here, where see that red, that's why I don't do it with the red spray cans. I just paint on my own things, because yeah, look at that. That's what happens when you put paint on too thick. It's bubbly, it's claggy, and I can just sort of do that to it. So I'm just gonna really quickly, I'm just gonna be lazy. You know, no one else will see it, only I will. There are no mistakes, only happy accidents. I'm just gonna be fucking lazy and go bloop, 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 and just blop in a bunch of contrast paint. Problem solved. No, I'll have to fucking put some highlights over it, and what I probably will do is actually jam in this knife here a little bit later and get like a good hole in it and whatever, and actually just kind of make it work. Whereas it's like some of those, like this hole I made, that hole I made, fucking, I chopped off the bull bar intentionally on this thing. That didn't happen. Like, I did all this damage to it intentionally. I know, the things I'll do with on a first attempt. It's probably why I do still have to hang on to this fucking thing, and this will probably just end up being a giant glorified fucking terrain piece. But then again, you know, like $160 is probably the average price of fucking terrain pieces, so why not? Hell, actually, it fucking, yeah. That's a better fucking subscriber goal there. 100 subscribers, and I'll get a literal hammer, smash this to pieces, and paint it up like a fucking, like, terrain pieces. Like, just savagely take to this never before painted, fucking poorly assembled fucking Baneblade that has probably the wrong gun on the turret anyway, because they definitely tried to kit bash that. Yeah, I know. That's a lesson learned. Don't kit bash a model for the first time if it costed you $165 to do, because when they bring out the next fucking Codex, you know that this thing's going up in price. Like, there are no other models that are that cheap and this big. There just isn't. That's a fucking thick boy too. Like, fuck, man. Like, literally, this is a bit of plastic that's the size of my face. Like, I can literally block my face with this thing. Like, you guys are like, oh, you spent over $100 on that piece of fucking shit, man. Fucking, yeah, fuck off. Ugh. Next, we're gonna start putting some washers down. Actually, no washers yet. We have to get the other contrast paint. The one that people will arguably call the shitty contrast paint, as I can gather from what I can gather on the internet. Basilium Grey, which is honestly just, it's black. It's like Corvus black, which is like it's slightly off black. Like, it's not entirely, it's more like a blue leather black. Yeah. Oh wait, sorry, I'm shaking it wrong. I've got to shake it like most people that paint these things would be doing with their hands, as opposed to, you know, getting laid. Oh, the sound even. You know what's funny, actually? Yeah, at times I hear that joke, you know, fucking, oh, you know, dry up the room with Warhammer, so to speak. But the amount of times this fucking shit has gotten me laid is not funny. I'm not joking. Like, I don't know, man. Like, when you tell people you sit down and paint really, really expensive bits of plastic, yeah, of course they're gonna fucking be like, oh, you're a fucking idiot. But if you tell people you paint miniatures, they go, woo! You know, it's like, it's almost like they moisten up because you're artistic. And it's like, ha ha ha, if you only knew, I'm only doing this because I don't know how to do real art. Yeah, it's a bit self-deprecating coming from someone who called himself a musician as well, but anyway, I know. Usually by that point, it's, you know, it's down to the merit of your penis instead of the, you know, miniatures on the table. But when, you know, they are smart enough to find out what these things are worth, they tend to look at you a lot more like a, you know, reproducible and potential mate as well, because it's like, oh, these things are expensive, he must have a job. Yeah, refer to that video on that one. It'll be really funny as well. It's like with all these little pop-up things, it's like it might not actually fucking, might not end up putting one there, and then the actual cut of the video being uploaded, and that would just be me pointing up to a random blank bit of the screen instead of actually going through and putting in all the fucking appropriate stamps and shit. Because to be quite frank, you might have been able to tell with some of those videos, I'm really fucking lazy in the sense of the end of fucking video banners and stuff are usually just copied from the last video that I did. And that's just a copy of the last video that I did and the last video that I did. And I forgot I didn't actually explain what I was fucking doing here. Okay, so on one foot, you can see I've put down the actual, you know, paint, contrast paint. And just going along the main parts of the foot here as well and doing it. Now, I'm not actually doing this, so I've got like a because the metal colour that I painted the guns, I could easily just go along and paint them like that, but then it would just all kind of look the same, and I don't want too many of the bits looking the same. Like, I want the black metal, like the darker coloured metal, to be slightly different from the other darker coloured metal, so that your eyes naturally look at it and go, oh, that's a different part, you know, it doesn't just kind of all blur into the one thing. But yeah, the reason as well, I know I really shouldn't have, but with the, you know, putting down the copper sort of colouring, the brass colourings first and that, the reason I just went and did that is because fucking without it, I'm sitting here looking at something that basically looks like Iron Man, but looking at it now, it still basically looks like Iron Man colours, so, and I'm also going to be a little bit different with this one. Instead of doing this part here with the, heavy metals, I'm actually going to try and do it with the great contrast and see how it comes out. If it doesn't separate enough, if it looks weird when it dries, I'll just go over it with that metal color that I want to use. Yeah, if we look on the top here, it's going to go along, and actually I better look at what I did. Okay, so I'm now going to switch down on my little brush, because on the first one I actually left that little circle bit inside the square. Actually left that as its original, the red that I went over it, the red contrast. So with this one, and yes, my little highlight brush. Now, when you see things like, another confusing thing with like Citadel paints and brushes and that, is some of them will have names like fucking, like highlights, or fucking this, that, and the other for the brushes, or layer brushes, or base brushes. It's like, they're not rules. Those are definitely guidelines. Like, more evidence of this would actually be in actual paints. So like base paints and things like that, like Mephiston red, right? That's a base sort of paint that a lot of people use. I actually use those, like on these guys. The Mephiston red is actually the highlight that I'm using along the like raised bits of the fucking fabric. The under one, the main one I'm using for the color, is actually this red, the corn red. It's a little bit darker and duller, you know, like. But yeah, fucking. At the same time, it's like, yeah, so it's like they say it's a base paint. It's almost like this. So the color is, when they're saying that, it's like the color is going to be a little less full on, whereas the highlights and that the color is going to be a bit more brighter and impactful, generally speaking, than their base counterparts. That's not always the case, but yeah, that's generally the rule apparently. But I've never really seen the point in calling them things like that, because they're all getting fucking, like, you can use all paint, like you can use a highlight, so you can use a layer paint as a base paint, and you can use a base paint as a layer paint. It's just, if you use a layer paint, you're going to have to use a few more layers, because it's a little bit thinner and bits like that, and it'll just take you more. But yeah. Alright, so we got that bit down. We're just going to go along and, oh, no, I fucking can't forget. I've got to put the black on these little copper bits and get them looking fucking like really fucking dirged out oil filters or some shit. Yeah, that's kind of what I had in mind with them when I was painting them up in this. Just like, you know, just like make them look like dirged up, grotty fucking oil filters on the bottom of a fucking mech or some shit. You know, give it that little bit of character. And then at the very end, sort of cap bits of them, I'm going to paint them like just going to put like a gold or brass when I go over and do my golds and that. Now obviously by two-part, you'll notice when I upload these as two videos. I'm doing it in two parts, so actually no, I might do it in three. I might just upload the fucking 3 videos at once and just do it like that. I don't know, fuck it. Look, if you're watching this, fucking ignore this part, but it's just me thinking, like, fucking, because I'm probably going to be too lazy to cut this out. Like, I don't know if I'll just, like, if I'll do it in a few parts, so you can watch the first part of it, do the first part, then watch the second part and do the second part. Or if I'll just fucking chock it all into one fucking video and call it a day. I'll probably end up doing the latter, but, yeah. Alrighty. That's it for now. And, yeah, when we come back, we'll do some fucking we'll do some fucking washes. Alrighty, after a day pause, because in reality, you know, minus the cuts, that's how long these fucking things can take sometimes, because you really can't stare at them for too fucking long. Well, you can, but, you know, sometimes you're gonna go and, like, you know, have a life. But anyway, I believe I was going to do some washes and that, but first, just again, as you can see, I've already started doing it. It's going along and putting all the little bits of gold where we need them. Now again, I know it's not technically gold, it's skull crusher brass, but it's fucking gold. Like, I don't get the difference. Like, I thought the difference was the metal. Like, I thought gold was like the color. Like, I don't know. I'm sure there's somebody that will rip on me for that now. I'm missing a brush. Where's that? Ah, fuck, this is all I got. Look at this, like, you know, wedged up, destroyed thing. I could do, like, delicate painting of that. Again, you know, just getting that blob, as we said. Fucking dip. Fucking dip. And I was going to point out how hard it is to hold this, you know. Oh, you know, I spent all my money on this, not on, like, camera gear or whatever, so fuck yes. Yeah, just getting in those little bits and bobs, like, in there and that. Just going around and... Ooh, fucking shaking like a... Shake it. And again, all these little ones on the leg. So when you drop it, you'll notice it almost, like, when the paint drops, it almost just kind of does it for you. You don't really have to stress too much when you're blocking on the top. And what I just did here is I messed up. And the paint fell a little bit further than where I wanted it to go, and I'm lazy tonight, so I'm just going to go around and paint all of them like that. It's going to turn that, you know, turn that mistake into a happy accident. So obviously this one's going to be a little bit different from the fucking first one, not just because it's, you know, just a different painted one. I'm obviously doing a few little things here and there differently, but, you know, each of them will be that little bit different. Their own little thing, you know, why not? Anyway, fucking gone along, gotten all that, and yeah. Now, again, fuck, I keep saying I'm gonna do the fucking washes, and then I never end up, you know, just holding off on doing the washes, because I just realised it's something we gotta do now, actually. Oh, where is it? Where is my, there is my waystone green. So, now we're, gonna, you know, be a professional gay porn star and just... Because we're gonna need two things. Firstly, it's the waystone green, followed by the tesseract glow. So firstly, the waystone green, it's kind of like, it's with the red, green and blue, they've got like a special sort of like colour. It's like a paint. It's almost, it's like it looks like it would be glass or like a gemstone or something. Like, when I open it up, you can see it's like, yeah, it's even thicker than than say the contrast paints with that same kind of fucking like translucence. And yeah, you know, this, you're not watering it down or anything, just like with the contrast paints. And just with the tiny little drop, again, I'm not even trying to paint with this, I'm just trying to drop it on. And I didn't get enough on there, and it actually started to basically paint. Just, yeah, drop it on. And again, with the other little tiny eyeball, this is the stuff I hate. I actually hate doing this, because this actually requires you to keep a fucking steady hand. Yeah, gotta get it perfect. I can't touch anything else. I can't touch anything else. Because, yeah, like, fixing up this stuff can be a little bit annoying. And then, yeah, that stuff will take a little bit longer to dry. But, yeah, while we're fucking... You know what? Nah, fuck yous. Yous can wait. I'll do the fucking washes after this shit dries. Fucking, I was gonna do some of them, but nah, fuck yous. Yous can wait. Oh, actually, really quickly while it is fucking drying. Yeah, I don't always, you know, do the whole masturbatory gestures with the paints. That's just... Come on, we all need a thing. And again, this is metallic paint, so it's like an actual paint. Keeping a little bit of water. And these... And yeah, so this is that same really dark metal metallic one we used before. I just realised there's a couple of little things we're gonna... Like, this little bits in there, like little braces for metal bits and whatnot. We're just gonna rip it on there and just to again break it up that little bit more, make everything, like, all the different, make it all seem like it's made from, like, you know, different metal alloys. It's not just the one metal. And before you think, you know, what are you probably thinking? I've actually seen some people do some pretty fucking amazing things with nothing but grey and black with a miniature. Not just in real life, on YouTube as well. You can find them. There's a couple of really big YouTubers that have fucking done that kind of black and white, or like just like no color kind of painting. Interesting concept too. It's like, you know, teach you to fucking appreciate what shades do more than anything. And this is the same thing, like fucking, I could just go along with the contrast paint and put it over it and look very similar. Like, if we look on the front here, they both look the same. This is just that, but done with the grey. Now, if we look on this one here, you see the ever so slightest of differences. And that's because they did two things there. One, on top of the contrast, it's got the fucking, it's got the bloody, what do you call it? The, my brain fart. So it's got the wash over the top of the contrast and the metal. And then I didn't actually put the washes down before that. I just painted these parts in that little, like, dark Iron Warriors fucking steel. And then I put the washes and the highlights down. So on the front part of it, again there, I didn't actually do some of the razor blade stuff with that so much when I put it all down, whereas I did with that. So we're actually going to have to highlight this ourselves a little bit, and that's, yeah. I swear the reason I did that was because I kind of knew I'd be doing this with the second one. Yeah, not gonna lie, I painted that first one up to actually see, you know, if I could get a good method going. And, well, I couldn't, so I just kind of decided, well, I've gone this far, in for a penny, in for a pounding. Yeah. Ooh, and now just really quickly I got this out, I can also fix a couple of the mistakes I just made with the gold. This is also sometimes why it's not necessarily always the best to go with the one paint over everything all at once. Like, so it is a bit easier to go back and fix things without it seeming like you're getting the paint out just to fix that. You also, you know, you're going over something else that needs to be gone over or whatever. You know, you feel more productive about it. Instead of like, oh, I'm a piece of shit. Not that you can be a piece of shit because you can't paint a fucking miniature. Just calm down, folks. Jeez. Yeah. I think that's just about everything. A few little bits of mist in there, but well, no one will really notice. And yeah. It looks like so the eyes are dried enough. So honestly, it's not the end of the world if they're not entirely dry for what we're doing here. With some of the other stuff it is, but it's getting a Tesseract glow, the other technical. Now this is a bit different. No watering down needed. This is kind of like a wash, more like the washes, or like a contrast, but it's like it's fucking high vis. It's like a high vis paint bit. Can't really paint something super fucking bright all overwards with it. It's more like just in little bits. Like on here, I'm doing the same thing as I did with the Waystone Green, just so like dropping it on there, because it will kind of fall into its own little thing. Like I'm just dropping as much as I can, like covering the whole green thing. But if you look there now, like it starts to look more like a glowing green sort of eyeball thingies. You know, just so like bites it out that little bit more. Whereas like sometimes like people will paint different colours and paint that little tiny bit of white on the end of it to make it look like the glimmering of light. But as we've already established with me carving at these things with razor blades and you know, just instead of doing little tiny bits of paint at a time, just getting whole fucking blobs and mixing it with water, that I'm a lazy cunt. So yeah, fucking just looking at the average times of the snippets of videos I'm filming while doing this, this is probably going to be by far the longest video. But yeah, I've changed my mind. I'm not going to split this up. I'm just going to dump this on just like, yeah, fuck yes. But now we're getting to the washes. But yeah, in the interest of time, I'm just going to do the little bits of the washes on camera. Like all them other cunts do a little bit and then just switch to it afterwards. Like, I don't know, you know, if this takes off in some kind of way, I'll probably, you know, start doing it under more and more of, you know, the influence of alcohol. And tonight's beverage is Jack Daniel's Tennessee whiskey and cola. And in case you were wondering what the previous beverage was that was being consumed, 4X Dry, aka piss carbonated. Yeah, I don't care what anyone says, that's what 4X tastes like. It tastes like carbonated urine. Yeah, so with the washes, just gonna slather it on there. This is called Nullen oil. So no, everyone will forgive you if you just use ridiculous amounts. It's okay, like everyone does it. It's like, you know, just Nullen oil solves all problems. If it doesn't look good, just put Nullen oil on it. You know, fucking just oil it up, mate. Fucking, it's the most Aussiest of Citadel paints, Nullen oil. Obviously, I love this shit. Yeah. And again, I'm just fucking smearing it everywhere and anywhere I can, and like, for example, on the top here, like, I do the same thing with all the rest of it, but yeah, just getting it all over into those little cracks and stuff, just letting it fucking fall in like a fucking dodgy cat. I am fucking filming. Oh, don't worry, I won't cut it. I won't cut it out. Your charming voice is... yes. He is painting his objects with a paintbrush.
This is a trailer to the movie that you're about to see.
You know what the funny thing is, though?
Starring Joel Sims. Produced by Joel Sims. Funded by Joel Sims. Starring Joel Sims.
If the audio picks this up, I'm not cutting it because I want that man to do my intros.
Yeah, coming to a cinema near you.
Yes.
This summer, it's Joel Sims. Action-packed.
Yeah, great. Like, I'm calling myself Bogan's Run, Jared. Thanks for fucking putting my last name up on fucking face. Oh wait, I've probably said it at some point. Who gives a shit?
This man is more Bogan than any Bogan you'll ever see.
No. I'm a fancy Bogan.
Epically dressing hipster, but being a Bogan.
Well, an epically dressing. Fucking hell! What are you doing to me? An epically dressing hipster that fucking takes on the persona of a Bogan is all of a sudden a fancy Bogan. You can't really call me a hipster. Hipsters don't have the depravity to walk around picking up cigarette butts off the side of the street to smoke. Fucking.
They just fucking disguise themselves.
And no, I'm not cutting that. Fuck yous, you can all know that.
Watch out, dumpers. No dumper is safe whilst this man is around.
Oh my god! Oh my god! He took the menthol! He took the menthol!
Here he is, collecting dumpers. Yeah, bro, got here first light, mate. Little bird gets worm.
Hey, don't start fucking taking my thing, man. Fucking that Jared Wright from fucking Big Les Show took my fucking thing, and I bet ya he's never done fucking, lines off another dude's thigh after getting out of the fucking salt water after a good surf on fucking Tweed Heads. What a fucking, no, fuck that fucking Jared fucking Wright cunt, and fuck you Jared fucking cunt. All the fucking Jareds that fucking make fun of the good old fucking accent that is a fucking hipster fucking going surfing on a fucking beach, and you all go fuck yourselves. Fucking, what are you talking about? Like, seriously, what the fuck are you... I'm just gonna stop now, fucking... Just in case Jared Wright copyrighted the Tweed Head Stoner.
He has a phone. He has a YouTube filming light. That is one yuppie Bogan. I rested my case.
So yeah, there's the fucking washers going down, and just like, just because Picard's coming out, I'm just gonna this is gonna be some interesting this is my cutting superpower that I have, right? Wow. Yeah, let's say gotta warm him up.
2 fingers, sir.
2? Why 2? Nah, it's still better with the 1. Just there we go. Alright, now he's all charged up.
Now he's Italian.
Now fucking, I'm gonna have to cut so much of that fucking. Now I'm gonna have to do this fucking. This is my fucking YouTube superpowered Warhammers. There's the nylon oil we've just put down, letting him dry, and so what we're doing on the top there, just fucking getting him all in there, and the guts on the bottom as well, and yeah, it's looking alright. I think. I mean, it probably looks like fucking shit, but anyway, so basically the next thing is fucking, oh yeah, and there's also the result, the glowing green eyes. Yeah, we're just gonna fucking do some highlighting. So, where are we? We are going to use another metallic paint called Rune Fang Steel. I'm certainly loving these naming conventions. Oh, actually, before that, haha, we need to raise the blade again just a tad bit on some of these sides here. A bit more there. And then yeah, now this stuff, fucking hell man, like this is bullshit thick. Not today, but fucking most days when I gotta, go and buy a pot of that paint, man, like, ugh, it's thicker than an old dude's sperm. Alrighty, so mix him up there, fucking mix him up, fucking, yeah boy. And yeah, now you're not using like the tip part of the brush for this, you're kind of just using like the side of it. And it's like going along like the angles like that. You're letting you're kind of letting the brush really do the work. So just going along the end here of fucking the trim of the body, the shoulder pad thing. going along like that. And as well, along the little crevice bits, now this is that does get a little bit hard, but instead of, you know, going over and trying to fix it if I do fuck it up, I'll just kind of just suck it up and probably scratch it a bit more, make it, you know, just make it look into that weathering thing I was doing. Now these times as well, like there's like 2 layers of that there, and fucking had a bit of trouble doing it with the other one of actually getting it in, and just getting it on the corner of that top one above it, because it does kind of want to connect with it. And the way I sort of worked around it is like, alright, look, worst case scenario, I'll hold the brush in a way where it sort of hits the top of it, not the bottom of it. So I'll still get that separation, and I can still, you know, go in after the fact and scratch it up more. Like I just did right fucking there, just a big old blotch. But honestly, like, you can kind of make it look like, you know, sort of like welding damage or whatever, you know. Like they've had to weld this thing back together or something like that. Oh, well, yeah, the narrative for the Bannockburn Force Rifles and its accompanying contingent regiment, i.e. the way I paint my guardsmen. The little headcanon little story I've got for my guys is that they're basically like, they're renegades, not heretics because they worship chaos, they just they kind of, yeah, they had a conversation with a, you know, rather educated member of the Imperium of Man who basically just turned around and flat out told them about the Imperial truth as opposed to the Imperial cult. If you're familiar with Warhammer, that's basically, you know, hey, here's this thing called science as opposed to, you know, here's a Bible. That's the simple way of putting it. And yeah, so they turned around and started, you know, they defend human worlds from aliens and whatnot, and they get support from some of these worlds that they go to. It's just folks like the Inquisition and the Ecclesiarchy and, you know, all the fun things in the war in the Imperium of Man. They just they don't really like them. But basically what it is like, it's a contingent regiment. So with the Astra Militarum, that means that a bunch of different regiments from a bunch of different worlds, you know, they didn't have enough numbers left to really form themselves into another regiment. So what they do when these regiments been depleted is they sort of smash them all together into one big one. You know, usually what they'll do is they'll find an existing regiment that sort of works well with them. Like, say for example, like have a bunch of bloody you know, a bunch of one sort of people that one sort of regiment that's mainly sort of Cadian influenced. Their fighting style, you know, they'll get sort of wedged into another Cadian style regiment if theirs is destroyed to the point where there's only a few hundred of them left or whatever. But in some cases they come from lots of different fucking regiments, so it's not just Cadians, it's also like Cadians, they're like your Starship Troopers looking soldiers and whatnot. You know, sometimes look like fucking your Catachan jungle fighters. They're like Rambos and Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger, but in space. Yeah, so you got a bunch of Catachans, you got a bunch of, like, you know, Cadians, you know, or when I say Cadians, I don't mean like one world, they're just like many different world used. But anyway, you know, a bunch of different Cadians, a bunch of different fucking cunts from, you know, a bunch of Necromund Guard fucking folks that round up in another contingent regiment that ended up getting blown up or whatever. You know, they all end up corralling into this, you know, we were on a planet, they fought off some fucking aliens and they all died horrible. And the Imperium came along one day, sort of like, oh, we need more guard regiments really quickly on this other planet in this system, and all these ones are sitting on this planet and they're like, alright, let's go have a fucking jolly shoot, you know? And that's what they did. They went and had a jolly shoot, did a fucking awesome job of it, and the temporary sort of contingent regiment became a semi-permanent thing for them. And then from there they realised that they didn't really have like a niche role, you know, like every regiment, they've got these niches, right? Like Cadians are fuck off good at shooting from a young age and fucking have to fight off chaos because their fucking planet's right near right near the fucking Eye of Terror. And then, you know, the Catachans, they've got to fucking basically survive Australia times 10. But, you know, Australia times 50 is also a planet where humans live. The Rowan Drifters, it's another good one. But as well, they're also the lazy, sort of, you know, laid-back soldiers. They're the actual space soldiers. But yeah, anyway, fucking... these jolly little fucking troopers, they decided they needed a niche, right? They couldn't just... They weren't all stealthy, but they weren't all good with guns, and they weren't all good with this, and they weren't all good with that. But they all had one thing in... Fucking... Please hold. Alright, now that fucker's gone over, we can keep going. And yeah, so they all realised they had one thing in common, these guardsmen. They all loved a good drink. And one day they sat down and they asked themselves the question, well, fucking... what about other guardsmen? Maybe they like to drink too. And well, this turned out to be, you know, a pretty fundamental thing, but nobody was running the booze around for these guardsmen on these, you know, hellish worlds fighting aliens. And well, where there's booze, there's better fighters because they're happy. And so, these brave men and women of the Imperium decided, fuck it. They've made us a regiment and we need a job to do. We've got these ships and whatnot, and the Inquisition's not telling, you know, the ecclesiarchy, the fucking National Tyrant, and, you know, all the different little mobs that they're supposed to listen to aren't telling them to do shit, so... Alright, they started making a bunch of booze on the planet that they had just defended, and fucking... From there, started taking it to other hellish worlds where soldiers were fighting and needed a good, you know, good drink to fucking calm them down. They slowly built up a reputation as being the Imperium's rum runners. And it's actually their quasi sort of, you know, their nickname for their regiment. They're called the Bannockburn First Rifles, but they're nicknamed the Rum Runners. Now, basically, you know, the Inquisition, fucking the ecclesiarchy, they don't like fun things. And what they like less than that is guardsmen getting into fun things. So, well, they found some reason to call them heretics or say they could be possessed by chaos or whatever. And well, eventually, you know, while on the run in that, they also came across some scions that love a good drink. And weren't too happy with all the disappointing sort of things, you know, they couldn't do, all the awesome things they couldn't do with, while being in a, you know, Scholar Virginium school, you know, they couldn't go out and get shit-faced as a kid, you know. And along come these dudes with booze, getting them shit-faced and saying, come and kill some fucking aliens. No, we don't like, we love the Emperor, mate. Fucking, he's the one that we're fucking doing this for, fucking keeping his soldiers drunk so they can keep fucking fighting, you know, without, you know, going crazy or whatever. And yeah, the Scions, they joined him on, like, Scions being like special forces sort of things, like child soldiers turned into special forces, but nonetheless. Yeah, there's a lot of child soldiers in the Imperium. Like, Warhammer does a pretty good job at making humans seem like they're fucking really bad. Like, in fact, arguably all the really horrible shit that fucking happens in the Imperium, in the galaxy, could basically come down to humans. You remove humans from the picture and it's like, well, fucking... Although, if we get more Warhammer educated ones out there, the whole chaos fucking, you know, needs if humans aren't around, chaos starves or whatever sort of thing, I don't understand. Because there's still meant to be all these different Xeno races and whatnot, and humans aren't the only ones that can be corrupted by chaos, so... what's the go, you know? Humans just vanished all of a sudden. Like, say, for example, Tyranids came and munched them all, but they didn't munch all the other aliens, they just munched humans. I don't know, man. I think the Chaos Gods will probably find that pretty funny. Wouldn't be sad their food's gone. They'll be like, suck a dick, big emperor. You know, they have a fucking field day with that. Hell, fucking... the Laughing God might even come out there, you know, have a little bit of a stand-up fucking bit about it, you know? You know, I don't know, yeah, like, they're not the only ones that can be corrupted by chaos, but it's like they act like if they weren't there, it's like, they're all just fucking, yeah, I don't get that, I really don't, because it's like, maybe it's just, you know, reckon people that play Warhammer not realising the irony of them sort of thinking humans are more special than what they really are, because they're fucking not. We're fucking animals. It's just what we are. Nothing really particularly marvellous or special about us. It's not to say, you know, we're not special or remarkable human beings in comparison to other human beings. You know, yeah. But yeah, it's like this whole fucking universe just filled with humans being dicks. It's nice. It's more realistic than reality. You know, they paint a picture of somebody, you know, most people not being dicks on the news or whatever, and only a few people being dicks. But let's face it, most of us are. Jesus, is this a fucking Warhammer painting video, or is this some kind of philosophical ramble? Nah, we'll just call it both. No one's gonna listen to it anyway. It's like the age of people under the age of fucking 20 doing it, going anywhere on YouTube without putting on fucking some silly costume or talking about something ridiculously controversial. It's long gone. It's all about that fucking, oh yeah, and all that production quality. So and that kind of rules me out of ever doing anything, because, well, I'm sorry, I don't really give a fuck about, you know, who's listening to this fucking too much, so I don't really need to do the camera quality thing. I just like honestly, if there is some randoms that fucking stumble upon this page, 1 second. So if there is some fucking, you know, cunts that stumble upon this page and wonder what the fuck they've stumbled upon, no, this is just some dude in the 21st century, you know, he's decided to do a little bit of, like, you know, audio therapy for himself, you know, ramble his thoughts to a camera, because, well, let's face it, again, statistically speaking, someone like myself, not giving a fuck like this, it's not really gonna blow up or anything on YouTube, so fucking rest assured, you're not gonna see me fucking trying to get sponsorships for some fucking random thing like Raid, Shadow Legends, or any of this cliche fucking YouTube bullshit. No. If you're gonna sit down and listen to my rambles, fucking, that's your loss, your waste of fucking time. But, well, some people have wasted their time fucking listening to some of my rambles, apparently. And I'm supposed to apparently do a third fucking ramble about backpackers. Funnily enough, I was originally gonna have like an event where I fucking played this sort of stuff at said backpackers. And I'm really keen on it too, because I knew that, you know, nerds that could afford this stuff can afford drinks, so, and they were like, oh yeah, let's do that. But, well, they then started, the reason I sort of postponed it was because the way it's like, they started speaking like, you know, almost like really, like treating people that are into Warhammer like neckbeards. And that fucking really annoys me, because, so, yeah, fucking cunts like Major Kill, the fact that he's only got, what's his famous thing, is like, you know, g'day guys and gal, like there's only one chick watching, because there probably is, according to his fucking shit. That's not because you're talking about Warhammers, dude, that's just because you're a gronk. You know, good looking gronk, but a gronk nonetheless. Well, I suppose that's the benefit us not famous people have over famous people, is our dicks aren't curved. Yeah, that just shows how many Major Kill videos I've actually watched. Like, well, you're ripping on a dude you clearly enjoy watching. Like, yes, he's an Aussie. And he's got, you know, fucking, you know, how many fucking subscribers? He's not gonna hear this shit. Well, I mean, you know, he by some bizarre miracle he did. You know, he's an Aussie. He's not gonna give a fuck. Hell, he'd probably fucking go through his comments and be like, oh, there's the one time that fucking this bogan's run dude commented on one of my videos calling me a shit dick. Oh, fucking fuck him, he's a shit dick, and well, that's how the world works. But nonetheless, yeah, fucking, if you're painting these things and you can't have fucking human interactions with people, it's not because you're painting something or you're into something that's too advanced for people, right? No. that's just you, man. Like, you got a you problem. Like, I don't, and that's not saying I'm alone, you know, I'm different or whatever. Like, not everybody wants to sit down and listen to me ramble about Warhammers, but fucking, I cherish the ones that do sit down and put up with me ramble about Warhammers. Or even indulge in playing a fucking game of Warhammer with me, even though they don't have miniatures or it's not too into it. Nonetheless. Fucking, I'm just gonna stop rambling. It's got nothing to do with what I'm really fucking doing right now. So I can paint a fucking little baby Titan and fucking give him some giant ass philosophical rant. No wonder this is gonna be the fucking longest video that I've probably made. I mean, if it's not, well, I'm sorry. Yeah, this will be the one inaccurate part. Fucking, I need a new place to live. Fucking hate living near an airport. But yeah, like, you know, if this isn't the fucking longest one ever, I'll probably just put some stupid fucking track at the end of it, because why not? But, yeah, we nearly got done on the fucking highlights, and well, I was, you know, going to cut and skip things like this just for the interest of time, but fuck you just can put up with it. My paint jobs come with my opinions, fuck you all. Yeah, that's a real great way to, you know, again, extend your fucking, you know, your YouTube audience, saying fuck you all your potential new fucking viewers or whatever. That's a great way to expand your horizons, I guess. I mean, come on, you clicked on a fucking video, a fucking page with a video from a fucking page of a dude who literally has just a bleeding face as his thing. Like, years old knew what he's written for fucking clicking on these videos. Some random ass fucking bullshit. Yeah. While the paint's basically dried, like it's not dry, there's a little bit still there. Just getting that onto my brush, and I'm gonna go along like this and just sort of touch it on there, right? You get that. The weathering to more so come back through as well. So go all along, scratch him up, and we're also then gonna go along with that knife as well and give him another good scratch in a couple of places. But I realised really quickly I do need a little bit more of this. Yep. It's because I missed a spot. Yes, I missed getting in those little grooves. Can't miss out on those little grooves. Gotta get your groove on. Yeah, gotta get your groove on. I fucked that up major to the point where, well, not fucked it up. It's just, yeah, like. Unfortunately, the only brushes I feel comfortable using for making metallics don't have really fucking nice sharp heads on it. You know, I gotta go to fucking. I'm going to the Warhammer shop. I'll do, yeah. Again, just rub my fingerprint in there, like, not in a way that'll leave my fingerprint on things, but just in a way that'll make it smudge over everywhere. Just look really messy and uneven, because when you're painting something, obviously, your brain's gonna want to try and have some sense of like order to it, you know. And that's where you kind of, you know, you gotta find ways to break that order, break it up a bit, be as unnatural and random as possible, where that whole part of your fucking thing is telling you not to be random, not to step outside the box and just be normal, fucking paint that perfect line. Everything has to be perfect. So no, this thing's meant to be a weathered up fucking damaged fucking thing, then it's definitely not gonna be perfect. It's gotta be fucking, yeah, just gonna fucking thoroughly scrape the rest of that off my brush. So we're good to, yep, that works. Just fucking scratchy. Yeah, you just can put up with this bullshit. Yes. You know what the funny thing is, guys and gals? And I say gals because, you know, at least I actually know that there's, you know, some random fucking, you know, friends of mine that are watching this just to make me feel better. Nah. Well, you know, thanks for your support and all that, I guess. Like, you know, friends supporting the YouTube friend, fucking. Well, what else has Cans got? You know. Oh, that's right, fucking Robin from fucking the Titan series. He's from Cans. Damn it. Cans does have cool stuff. Damn. Don't have an excuse to do this now. Still going to. Oh, you know, it's either that or, you know, crippling depression, falling back into a meth addiction, because, you know, that shit's about as expensive as these miniatures, and well, I need some way to, you know, making money disappear, so, you know, Warhammers will do it. That and fucking the last fucking part, I absolutely hated the creative sort of aspects of me, like the fact that I needed to create, like that obviously is like a he's a musician or he's a fucking, you know, does this or that or the other. It's like, but once you really get into it, they fucking most of the time they despise you for being creative because you'll focus more on things like this than you will on some random thing that they want to talk about. And then when you do focus on a random thing that they want to talk about, they all of a sudden don't want to talk about stuff with the others. I hate humans. I hate you all. Like, it's just. You know, one day I'll find a gal, you know, let me prove that the batteries are included instead of fucking. And, you know, as a pro, I can make them a decent sandwich. Alrighty. Obviously, don't do what you probably just assumed that I was doing there with the whole dart thing with the brushes, because that's how you fuck your heads and you end up with that. And me, all these shitty ass brushes that you need to go and replace about a day after you finish recording all the footage for this video and a day before you upload it. So, none of you will reap any of the benefits for this, but let's have a look, shall we? The completed products. So, this side, we painted I painted off camera at the start of the video I showed you. And now marching into war with him, his other compadre. As you see, like, they're just little bits fucking different to each other. Like, they've got their own things going, but at the same time, follow the same uniform. Like the same colour conventions and whatnot, like all the bits are there. And yeah, fucking all the shabby, shaky hand sort of stuff that I have has been compensated with good old fashioned fucking fingerprint smudges and fucking just being a lazy cunt. So yeah, these are our new fucking good old fucking Titans. Getting ready to march into some fucking war or some fucking shit. Oh yeah, some random Sisters of Battle as well. Yeah, I'll just fill out the rest of this with the fucking, you know, a few little models and then the new logo. Yes, should make this the mascot for the channel. Yes. Whoop. Alrighty, I'll see you gorgeous motherfuckers when I decide to do another crazy ass fucking rant, ramble, or decide to paint another miniature for you. Or 10. Like, subscribe, and all that other fucking bullshit. Have a good one.